I'm Ariana Grande.
Hi, I'm Cynthia Erivo.
And you're listening to the Broadway Podcast Network.
Visit bpn.fm to discover more.
Hi, I'm Mandy Gonzalez. Welcome to the Theater Podcast with Alan Seals.
Hey everyone, welcome to an all-new episode of the Theater Podcast. I apologize if you are a regular weekly listener. I've decided to take a few weeks off just to kind of recoup, get some energy back. I was kind of burnt out a little bit on everything that was going on over the summer and just needed a little bit of recharge and family time. So thanks for sticking with me. Here we are. I am back. And today our guest is Mandy Gonzalez, who I have just admired from afar for so long and now feel so fortunate that I got to sit down with for a little bit and, of course, unpack her story. We talk about the kind of theater upbringing where life-changing vocal lessons get arranged over all-you-can-eat pickles at a local dinner theater, what it was really like as a teenager touring with Bette Midler. Did you know she did that? And watching Bette perform every single night through a tiny crack in a stage curtain. Plus, you get to hear the story of her first meeting with Lin-Manuel Miranda in a hidden basement in the drama bookshop, which she said felt a little bit like looking for the basement at the Alamo in Pee-wee's Big Adventure. Oh, and believe it or not, she might just be one of the last people on Earth, along with my mother, still holding on to her original AOL email account. But beyond the laughs, she opens up with incredible heart about the resilience navigating chemo while performing on Broadway and what it truly means to live fearlessly every single day. You're going to love this chat. I know I did. Find me online, share this podcast with a friend, make sure that you leave a rating, leave a review, all the other things that you need to do. And now everybody, please enjoy this conversation with Mandy Gonzalez.
Here you go. 1, 2, 3.
My guest today is starred on Broadway in productions that include In the Heights, Wicked, Hamilton, and Sunset Boulevard. Her film and television credits include Madam Secretary, Only Murders in the Building, Bull, Quantico, The Good Wife, Across the Universe, Better Late Than Never. God, I can go on. She created a social media platform about advocacy and belonging. I'll say that again. Advocacy and belonging that catapulted into a novel series called Fearless. These adventure novels. She has just finished starring in the world premiere of Basura at the Alliance Theater and is bringing her own show, Everything I Know. Mandy Gonzalez sings Lin-Manuel Miranda to audiences across the country after its sold-out debut at Carnegie Hall. Obviously, we have Mandy Gonzalez today. Welcome to the Theater Podcast.
Obviously. Thank you so much. Thank you for that introduction. That was fabulous.
Very good. You're welcome. Before we started recording, I said, how should we talk about Fearless? And you said it was the advocacy, I'm getting this right. Let's see. Advocacy and belonging platform that catapulted into Fearless. It catapulted into things that catapulted into Fearless. And it's how you live your life.
Well, I hope I try to live my life. I think like all of us, we have a lot of fear, but it's about not getting rid of the fear and moving through it. So I look at fearless as 2 words, to fear less. And I think that if you just keep going and you go through the fear, you do fear a little bit less. And so that's my goal for my own life and my goal to bring other people so that they can really live their best life. And because fear is just a part of it. It's not all of it.
A lot of people, yes, in general, I think everybody kind of lives in sort of a state of wanting to fit in, of being afraid of something, of not belonging, of not being good enough, it's either like you are too much of something or not enough of something.
Absolutely. And it doesn't matter what you're into, but for me, I had a lot of people reaching out to me, especially when I was in Hamilton. And now people can reach out to you immediately on DMs and things like that. Like I keep everything open. And I had people reaching out to me about feelings of loneliness and that they didn't belong. And I think that I really took the fact that I was in Hamilton and on this huge platform, I really had a sense of responsibility that comes with that. So when somebody writes you those kind of feelings, I never wanted anybody to feel alone. And so I started this platform called #Fearless Squad. I put it out there and I said, if you don't have a squad, you can be part of mine. And I had no idea that thousands of people would want to be part of the squad. And so immediately it kind of catapulted me into this leadership position, which I had no idea, and but I said, okay, I'm the squad leader, I guess, and I have to kind of come up with what this is about. And so my slogan is, I held your hand in mine and together we change the world. We help each other when we fall. We embrace differences. We look for the good and we dream big, and together we're fearless. And it's not about, it was never about something, that is to sell or anything like that. It's really about taking those beliefs and bringing it into your own community. And I think a lot of theater kids, I know I was one of them, do have those feelings of loneliness. And when we hear those songs that kind of make us feel like, oh my gosh, I belong. And then you meet somebody else that loves theater and you're like, oh my gosh, you too. So Fearless Squad just kind of feeds on that.
What do you think that is about? That theater is a merry band of misfits. Like
Absolutely.
when you don't fit anywhere else, you fit in theater.
It makes me think of like the Misfit toys
Yes.
and like, Rudolph. But I don't know. I think that, I think that there is a need to express yourself, a need to create. And I think when you have those kind of feelings, there is a place of vulnerability that I think so many people that love theater are drawn to. And it's like the human experience and the human connection, just on a deeper level. And I think if you get it at a young age and you have a program or you have, like something in your community where you feel like, oh my gosh, I'm not alone. For me, I sang all the time, and I'm from like Southern California, so there's a lot of things happening in Hollywood, but it's not, at that time it wasn't a big like theater community, and my parents were just like, what is happening with this kid and why is she wanting to sing all the time and sing Annie and do this and that. And it wasn't until my grandma kind of put me into lessons with other kids that I felt like, oh, I'm not like a total weirdo. Like I'm actually, I am, but
I am a weirdo, but they're weirdos too, and it's all okay.
It's like, oh my gosh, I belong. And then all of a sudden somebody's like, yeah, you've heard Miss Saigon. Have you heard this? Have you heard that? It's like, what? And so I think it draws all of us that need that sense of connection, Well,
did you feel that as a kid though, like the overwhelming need for connection? I know I did. I don't know what it was. Like nothing. My parents didn't do anything wrong. My friends didn't do anything wrong. It was just inherent in me that I always had that devil on my shoulder that was like, you're kind of not good enough. Like, try a little bit harder.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Like,
absolutely. I think that I've always had that. You always have that voice, when you're feeling like super secure. I don't know about you, but even when I'm warming up and I'm warming up in the shower, I'm like, oh my God, my voice sounds amazing today. This is going to be great. And then now you have to do self tapes and all that kind of stuff. And I get in front of the camera or I get to the room and all of a sudden that voice comes and it's like, what are you doing? You shouldn't be here. And it's those things of like, wait, should I listen to this voice? Is this voice correct? Like, absolutely not. You gotta, tap the voice and be like, I remember you, anxiety, like it's time to go. I absolutely loved that movie, the Pixar movie.
Inside Out?
Yes.
Yes.
But I loved Inside Out too with anxiety because I just felt like that was so right on. And yeah.
So you grew up in SoCal.
Yeah.
And you were always singing, and then you said it was your grandma that put you into performing? Is that what you said?
Yes, because she said to my mom, like, Robin, I think we have to get Mandy into lessons because she's so loud. I think she's going to hurt herself. And my grandmother loved musicals and she played music all the time. And she babysat us a lot. And so I would sing back with her. And I was the only grandchild that, would remember the lyrics and would want to sing back. But she had a player piano. For those of you that don't know what that is, ask somebody over 40. But it's, that's definitely where my love of music is rooted. It's in those, living room jam sessions with my grandmother, but she saw something in me, and she went and she started to ask questions like, what do I do with her? Like, where can where can she express herself, and what can
Huh.
we find? And at that time there's no internet or things like that, so she would just look in the paper and find things for me that were in my age group, and people that were performing, because she just wanted to put me in everything that would give me every opportunity to learn.
So when did you really start? I guess not professionally, but I mean, like maybe it was professionally, or
Mhm.
community theater or whatnot. Like, what age were you when you did your first organized production?
Oh my gosh. I think I was about 8 years old when I did Fiddler on the Roof, which was down the street from my grandmother's house at the Showboat Dinner Theater. And the Showboat Dinner Theater I loved. That had a lot of places for me in my life too. It was down the street from my grandmother's, and you can go and have a meal, like a buffet meal, and then you could see a show. And my brother would have to come to everything because we're a year apart. And like I said, my grandmother babysat all of us. So he would come, and they had all you can eat pickles, which was awesome. So we both love pickles. So we would get pickles and we would watch the show. And it was the woman that played Aldonza in Man of La Mancha that my grandmother went up to and said, I have a granddaughter, and she needs vocal lessons. And do you teach? Would you be interested in teaching her? And that became my first vocal teacher. And I think I was about 7 years old when I met
Wow.
her. And then at the Showboat Dinner Theater, they were auditioning for Fiddler on the Roof, and I got the role of Belka, the youngest daughter. And my grandmother was one of the ghosts during
she
the
was in it too?
Firma number. Yeah. And she would just walk. They had these crosses for them in the back, and she would just go, and so yeah, I loved it. And I was just, this is like, oh, I belong, this is where I belong. And I did a lot of things over at that show at Dinner Theater, like they had children's classes and things like that.
That's very cool. Your parents the whole time, were they for it, against it, irrelevant? Because I mean, some parents are like, oh yeah, you can do that, but make sure you have a backup.
Oh
Or
yeah, my
some
parents were like, yeah, this is great. They loved it. Yeah, they loved it.
She's loud and she won't hurt herself now.
Exactly. Loud. And they they were so supportive, because I think it was whatever my grandmother really said. And then they just kind of followed suit. So like at every family function I would sing. My dad would kind of work when because it also was like I was at family functions with a microphone, which is like, who does that? But my grandma said she needs to know how to use the mic. And I had to sing for all my aunts and uncles. They were probably sick of me, but she ruled the roost, and she was like, no, Mandy sings. Now she does this. And I love
she is a singer.
Yeah, but
Yeah,
my
yeah.
sister played the piano, and she was really wonderful, but she had really bad stage fright. And so my grandmother would also have her play the piano. But so nobody would watch her, she would have me sing in front of my sister. And I would do that at all my sister's recitals. Like my sister would be in just like a regular dress. I would come out in sparkles and like a top hat. And there was no animosity, at least not for me, but for my sister, because she was just like, oh, this is good. Like nobody cares what I'm doing because Mandy's up there. But then she dropped me because she said I was too demanding as a vocalist. She just wanted to play her thing and do her thing. She did not want to be an accompanist. So it was not long lived. But anyway, I had a very supportive family.
Did you know, like you said early on, this where you wanted to be, but what was the moment when you decided, like, did you go to school for it? When did you know it was going to be a career?
When I went to a summer program when I was about 15 years old, I got a full scholarship to this program called Broadway Theater Project. And it was in Tampa, Florida. And Anne Reiking ran the program.
Wow.
With Deb McWaters. And I had teachers like Treat Williams, Gregory Hines, Jeff Calhoun. I had to audition to be in Gregory Hines' tap class with like some of the best tappers in New York City. And I got into the class like by the skin of my teeth. And
the tip of your toes.
Exactly. The tip of my toes, tip of my taps. And
tip of your taps.
And everybody was better than me, and I loved it. And I was like, they were all talking already about, going to New York, and this is the school I'm going to go to, and this is what I'm going to do. And I was like, I want to do that too, and that's when I really decided that, oh, this is what I want to do, for my life, because I
Yeah.
was just so, like obsessed with these teachers, with
Like you,
Anne and with Gregory. I watched every movie when I got home. I watched every possible movie I could that they were in, just
yeah,
to
that's
kind of like
crazy.
stay with them.
That's crazy that you got to train at such a young age with that level of talent.
Yeah, it was
Like,
one of those things. Again, my grandmother, I was in this, I was taking with a vocal coach, and he actually taught at the camp. And he suggested to my grandmother, because my grandmother would sit in on every, she wouldn't say anything. She didn't want to be there. And he said to her, Marie, there's this camp, and she, well, she's got to go. But how are we going to do it? How are we going to afford it? And I had to send in my VHS. I remember, tap dancing in the backyard. I just felt like I wanted to be there. And all these students that were there wanted it too. And it was like, oh, that's the first time I realized, like, oh, this is really exciting. And I learned what it was going to take to get to where I needed to go.
yeah, it's like if you can see it, you can be it. And I guess, yeah, your grandmother, gosh, she completely made you who you are
Totally.
today. Yeah.
Totally. And
And
she was not like a stage mom in anywhere, like any sense of the word. My own mom had a hard time sometimes, like sitting during like dance classes and things, because the other moms would talk. It's kind of like dance moms. I was never that
yeah.
kind of dancer, but it was the same for any, program I was in. Like certain parents would be like, oh, my daughter, and blah, blah, blah. And my mom could not take it. She was like, I can't take this. And so my grandmother's like,
Yeah.
I'll sit there. So she just kind of came and she did it. She didn't care. She'd be like, oh yeah, like my granddaughter, like she does this and this. And then we would go, and, but my grandma always just said, like, you can do it. You got it. You got it. And I just felt like I hear her all the time.
15, 16, that was such an, I think an important age for you to be at that camp, I think, because it's before you decide where you want to go to college. It's before you decide, like, I mean, it's starting to lay the foundation for what you're going to do at 17, 18 and beyond.
Yeah,
And
absolutely.
so you can see the stuff, and you said that everybody was better than you, which probably wasn't true. That's just how you
Well,
felt,
that's how
right?
I felt. Yeah.
Yeah, right. Obviously,
That
you deserve
voice
to be
that's
there.
like, you're terrible.
Right. So you're there, and you're with incredible people, some of the best people you've been with.
Mhm.
And I think it probably like pushed you to a level of realization, a level of awareness of like, yeah, even though we're young, we know what we want. It's a bunch of people who know they have to do this.
Yeah. And then we
And
put
won't
on
give
a
up on it.
show. Yes. And we put on a show at the end of the camp. And, if you were lucky, you got a little bit of a solo in one of the numbers. But it was like a show, and it felt like life or death. Like, we have to make this great. And it wasn't about, we got to make this great because I'm better than you, and I just want to be in the front. It was like, we're doing this together. And it was all about like community. And I wanted to be a part of that. I didn't want to just be that person that did it by themselves. Like, I wanted to be part of this, whatever it was that they were, I wanted to be in it.
Yeah. And when you're around that people, like when you find your people, that's what you want to continue with. And then, so then did you go after high school? Did you go straight to New York?
No, I went to Cal Arts for a year, and that was a school that was very close to my hometown. And then I heard about an open call from. I was doing a lot of stuff when I was younger. Like, I put together my own cabaret at the Roosevelt Hotel. They had this place called the Cinegirl. They still have a place called the Cinegirl. And I put together my own cabaret, with the musical director that I met. And he told me that there was going to be an open call. Bette Midler was looking for a new backup vocalist. And would I want to go? And I said, yeah. And I got all dressed up and all dolled up. And I waited in line, and I went, and I kept getting, they kept asking me to stay, called back. Can you come back tomorrow and dance? Can you come back and do this? And I ended up getting that job. And Bette Midler came in for the last audition, and she had on this gray suit. It was so fabulous. She's so fabulous, and her glasses, and I nailed it, and I got the job, and I went on the road, and I was like, oh, I get to watch one of my idols
Oh, you're
every
19?
night.
You're
19.
like 18, 19 this time? Yeah.
Yeah, and I was on a bus, traveling and trying to sleep. It was full of so many things. So that was really my um I don't know what you would call that, but my jump into the business. And then from
What?
that, I saved my money from that job, and then I moved to Brooklyn, and I was like, I'm gonna do it. And I had nothing. I had no agent. No, I just had like so much gumption.
That's all you need. I mean,
Yeah, true.
That's not true. You need talent too. So you're on this tour bus with Bette Midler. Is she on the bus too? Or are you just like
No,
chilling, smoke?
That's in a plane. Like
Oh,
she
okay,
is,
okay.
yeah. But I was with the other Harlettes. I was with the people that were older than me and had done this a long time, and it was a very like throw into the fire kind of experience
Right.
because I was away from home for the first time, because I didn't go to college and leave. So this was my first time being away from my family and having those feelings of homesickness, but like having to get up and to perform, through all of that, and having these exciting things happen to me, like all of these different cities that we played, and she's so beloved, and yeah, it was a total trip. Like, I loved her so much. I had gone to see her in Vegas, like a couple of years before that at one of her
Right.
concerts. And she's the ultimate performer. And I used to sing with her. I used to sing backup for her. At the end, she would sing Stay With Me, Baby from The Rose. And she nailed it every night. And, at that moment, she didn't want anybody on the stage. So we would be singing in the back, with microphones,
Mhm.
but the curtain would be open just like a little bit. And I would be watching her as she was singing so that we would be breathing together and that kind of thing. Cause we didn't have like television monitors and that. But I would watch her and I'd be like, that's where I want to be. I want to be in the front.
I was about to say
know?
that Bet and others like Bernadette and like they can make giant careers performing off stage, off
Yes.
Broadway. I mean,
Yeah.
like you don't need to be on a Broadway stage to be a massive performer and a massive star and a massive person doing concerts. And I was going
Totally.
to say, is that like part of why you had that ingrained at such a young age that now like you're going out and doing your own concert?
Yes, because I love it. I absolutely love it. I love the creative process, because it does feel like you're putting a show, because you are putting a show together.
Yeah.
When you come to one of my shows, it has been worked on, it has been rehearsed, because that's what I saw. When I rehearsed with Bette, it was like a Broadway show. We had 4 weeks, and the last 2 weeks, I think we were on a sound stage, and she, then they tear down the stage at the end, and then the crew goes before you, and then you go. But I was like, when I was putting together my shows, I'm like, it has to be story driven. There has to be a reason that I'm doing it, not just to get up and do beautiful songs, which is lovely, and I love to do that. But it's about creating a story for the audience, and it's something that I think is something that I'll do for the rest of my life.
Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back after this break. Welcome back to the episode. Do you remember when you got the call to be in Aida, your debut?
Yes, I do.
Where was
I
that?
remember because I was in the show Eli's Coming off Broadway at the Vineyard Theater, and it was my first show in New York. That's why I got my equity card, and we won an Obie Award. And I remember, I believe Stuart Oken from Disney Theatrics came to see the show, and they called my agent and they asked if I would come in to be the standby for Adina Menzel, if I come and audition. And I remember, there were people that had said to me, "Oh, a standby, like you shouldn't do that, because then that means that that's what you are, and this and that." And I remember I was in the dressing room with Judy Kuhn, And she said, well, I was a standby. Like
Everyone was a standby.
when I started, but I didn't know anything, I just listened. I was listening to everybody.
Yeah.
And when she said that, I admired her so much, and I still do. And I went in for that audition, and my journey continued because of it. And then I remember getting the call and just being so excited and terrified and all of those feelings. And then starting rehearsal the week of September 11th. Like
Oof.
literally, it was like my third rehearsal. I was up early to get ready. Well, I wasn't actually up early because I was about to get onto the train, and I think it was like my third day of rehearsal or something like that. And then that all started to happen,
Oof.
and then nobody wanted to come to the theater, and I got to watch that. Like, what was that like? And how the cast, conducted themselves. And how everybody just kind of came together. It really it was so inspiring. And then to see like nobody coming to the theater, and then all of a sudden people started coming to the theater, and it was a beautiful thing because everybody felt like, well, why are we doing this when there's so much happening? Should we even be here? There's nobody
I
in the
think that's
audience.
exactly why you should be there.
I know, but when you're in it, it takes a minute to kind of realize like, oh, this feels good, and we're giving of ourselves to
Mhm.
a bigger picture, you know? And yeah, it was a crazy time. And I remember Adina they were doing some commercial to bring people back to New York. Were they singing? I believe they were singing New York, New York. And it was in the middle of Times Square, Duffy Square. Is it still called that?
Yep.
By TKTS. And she couldn't be there. So I went, and I'm in that picture, and I'm in that video, and Bernadette and Joel Gray are in the front. Come on, come through New York. And I'm in the back, like, yay. I was like, this is awesome. Cause I was so alone. I felt like I was away from my family. The world was going through such a change, but I felt like
Mhm.
I had my community with me.
Yeah. And I want to not gloss over the fact that standbys, alternates, and swings, understudies are some of the most important people in the industry and some of our biggest divas, of which, in a positive way, like
Yeah.
powerhouses, of which I do include you, have started by understudying or being a standby
I
to
think
somebody
everybody
else.
should,
Yeah.
honestly, because I think if you're able to, I think it's a great way to start because you really learn how you want to be as a lead, how you treat people, how you don't treat people. You really learn a lot, whether you are a standby or an understudy or a swing. You learn to be ready at a moment's notice, and that nobody cares if you just got called 15 minutes before. The show must go on, and
Yep.
you know that you always have to be ready. And so I wear it with a badge of honor. And yeah, I hope that I don't know. I hope that I left and I leave a little bit of my I guess my pride in that, like having had that in my life.
That's a good way of putting it. Yeah, I think it is kind of a badge of honor to say you've done that because it's hard, and
It's really hard.
the anxiety in the I mean that was something I was a swing for Forever Plaid once for all four
Oh
roles,
wow. Yeah.
and the anxiety I had of keeping just the harmony lines
Oh
separate,
yeah.
like from a show like that, it was nuts. And then and it was one of those things where like after I got through with it and it was done, I was like, oh yeah, like that's a badge of honor to be able to
Yeah.
learn all of that and do all of that at like a moment's notice. And then mid-show swing-ons, incredible the way that stuff
Oh
happens
please.
with sometimes without even stopping the show.
Right. But it taught me, what a stage manager does, what an assistant director does, and how they keep the show going. And they are a dance captain does. Like they are your lifeline,
Yeah. Yeah.
throughout your run. And they're looking out for you. And so I think that for anybody, I highly recommend it. I think that it's but yeah, I started in this business and I just learned as I went in a lot of ways, and I continue to.
Are you one generally to say yes to new opportunities? Like, because it's kind of a conflict, I think, because I'm the same way. I love trying new things. I love to experiment and to like say, oh, that didn't work. Like failure in the moment sucks, and then the next minute I'm like, okay, now I know what not to do. That's great.
Mm-hmm.
But then it's also a complete conflict with the I'm not good enough. But I think there's a driving factor that makes me want to continue because of the I'm not good enough. Does that make
Totally.
sense?
It completely drives you. I think I'm a very driven person. For I don't know what, for challenge, for to overcome. I think to feel those feelings of fear and just go, yes. So I'm very much a yes person. If something really scares me and I think like, I don't know if I can do that, I automatically say yes because I don't know why. It's just something in me. I have this need to challenge myself and express myself and be creative and push myself to so many different boundaries. And for me, some things work out and some things don't, but that's life, you
Mm-hmm.
know?
Your career, I mean, when you list off your resume, it's like the staples of modern Broadway.
Yeah.
You've been in all of them, like Aida, In the Heights, Wicked, Hamilton, and like Sunset Boulevard. Like all of this stuff, all of these have changed Broadway permanently in one way or another.
hmm
And like, how did you find yourself jumping from one to the other like that?
Oh my gosh. I think I had a really strong foundation. I think for me, that was very important. Family is a very important thing for me. And I was lucky to have met my boyfriend, now husband, at CalArts for that year. I met
Oh
him like the
wow,
last day of
yeah, you've been
school,
together a long time.
a long time,
Yeah.
only a year, no, for a long time. And he is, and has been the love of my life. And he encourages me and has ridden this ride with me. But that was always something that I was fortunate to have and to know was important because the shows open, the shows close. Some people love them, some people hate them, and it's hard. It's really it's beautiful to be an artist in that life, but it's also really hard. And to have a home, to have somebody to come home to that loves you regardless and that sees you for you and all the things that you can do, I think that allows me to keep going, and the fact that I come from, and I say this a lot, but I come from warriors, man. Like, I'm Mexican, I'm Jewish. My lineage, I come from people that did everything to make it in this life, in whatever
Mm-hmm.
that meant. My grandparents worked on a farm and worked in the orange coves, in the orange groves. And I grew up running through the orange groves and watching them pick fruit. And my other grandparents came from a hard life. They worked hard and they made something of themselves. So I think that I have that inside of me, that people that survive and keep going, they never gave up. And so I think that having that foundation has really been central in my life and in my career.
That's crazy. I mean, and then the show, you were saying the shows come and go, but then like Hamilton and Wicked are not gone. When do you decide
Well,
to
I mean, I
leave?
go.
Well, right. But is that hard for you to leave that steady paycheck?
Yeah, of course. It's hard to leave that steady paycheck. It's hard when but it's important to go. It's important to go and to, put yourself out there again and to see what's next. And it's important to go and give somebody else their turn.
That's
That's
an
been
interesting
also
way.
very important for me, is not just, achieving but leaving some sort of legacy of community, I guess, and that I'm looking out for that person that's coming next, because I did have doors that people fought for to be open for me. And I want to make sure that those doors are open for that next generation. And, people that couldn't open those doors definitely found a window for me to go through, and I'm not, that's a big part of who I am. And I think that's why, that's why you go. That's why, you stay for the time it feels really good. And then you go when it still feels really good, so that you can leave and you can look back and go, gosh, that was a great experience in my life. Because we've only got one.
Yeah. Well, when you were saying earlier that it was about family, I thought you were going to talk about the family you built through the theater community, but you were talking about your literal family, your literal husband, which is beautiful. Beautiful, yes.
Yeah.
Not to discount that. But I'm trying to do a very poor segue now into your concert, which is, singing songs of Lin-Manuel. And then, you've done so much with Lin.
Well,
right?
I can segue. I think
Go
there
for
is, no, but there is foundation. And it was like when I did Aida, because I didn't have my family here, I started to build my chosen family, and that happened in the swing room. I met my best friend, my BFF, Jarrell Grand Moultrie, who is now a choreographer. He choreographs ballets. He's choreographing theater. He was nominated for Lucille Lortel this past year and an Outer Critics for 2 of the plays that he worked on. My dear friend, Nikki Renee Daniels, my dear friend, Rhett George, and that we are still really good friends. That's like part of my heart. And so all of a sudden, I didn't go to college. I didn't have those kind of friendships that you come into the city with. And so I started to go, oh, okay, like I can have my own like chosen family. And that just continued in all of the shows I did. But I felt it so strongly when I did In the Heights, because it was the first show that I did where it was an all Latino cast. Lin-Manuel was at the helm with Kiara Alegria Judes, and it was Alex Lacamoire and Tommy Kail, and we were all just scrappy and, and hungry and figuring like, oh my gosh, we have this beautiful piece of theater and we want everybody to love it as much as we do. But there, I just saw my dear friend Janet Takal these past 3 days. And anytime I see anybody from that show, it's a gift. It's a gift because they really are my family. And when I first met Lin-Manuel, I was in this show on Broadway that didn't do very well, another one. And it was called Lennon. And it didn't last very long. And, I was at the Broadhurst in my dressing room, and you're kind of thinking like, oh, what am I going to do now? Like, what happens? And somebody called and said, oh, there's this new writer and he wants to meet with you in the basement of the drama bookshop. Would you want to go? And for some reason,
this
I
is
knew
where people get murdered, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
But first, I'm from LA, but it was like, for some reason I said yes. And I knew the drama bookshop. Every actor knows the drama bookshop. And so I went. I didn't know there was a basement. It was like the Alamo and Pee-wee's like Big Adventure. And I went to the basement, and there was Lin-Manuel. And he played some songs on this piano, which is still there at the new drama bookshop. That same piano, and Alex Lacamoire played songs, and they talked to me about Nina Rosario and would I be interested in doing the reading? And I said yes. And then we got to the first day of the reading, and I was sitting next to Andrea Burns, and I didn't know her. We, didn't know each other before that. And I was sitting in this room with all these like young artists, and Lin-Manuel said, I know none of you know the song, so I'm going to sing everything. And he just started, and it was like he looked at Alex and was like, hit it. And it was like, lights up on Washington Heights up at the break. And I was like, whoa, like, who is this guy? And how can I be a part of this forever? Like, he just had this magnetism, this light, and I wanted to be a part of it. And I felt so lucky that I was able to, then I have been a part of his life and his journey, but also to watch the entire world just fall in love with him and his music. And because he is exactly who you see, or who you listen to in those songs. And that's why I wanted to create this show, because I felt like, so many people don't realize how much a part of their life he's been, whether it's his songs, from Hamilton or Moana or um, In the Heights, but it's his songs from Sesame Street. And
My kids love Vivo.
yes, Vivo, like all of these beautiful works that he has created that, really touch your soul. And so I wanted to create an evening with it. I sing with a lot of symphonies, and the Boston Pops were the first symphony to ask me to sing a couple of Lin-Manuel songs for their July 4th Boston celebration. And I mean, Boston Pops is like the
Yeah,
top.
that's the shit. That's
Yeah.
the shit.
It's like Keith Lockhart. I was like, yes, I'll sing that. That sounds great. And I sang Fearless, and I sang Everything I Know. And I had so many people coming up to me telling me like how much they love Lin-Manuel's music and how much it means to them and how much it meant to them for me to sing that song. And I thought, there's a place for him. Just like there's a place for Andrew Lloyd Webber, Stephen Sondheim evenings, things like that. There is a place for Lin-Manuel in this world, in these spaces. And I want to be the one to bring that to encourage people to know that there's a place for them at these symphony spaces. He's
That's
a part
really-
of the American Songbook. I mean, it's,
Oh, no.
it's what it is. And he belongs there.
I was gonna say, and literally as you were explaining it to me, I was like, why have I never really put two and two together before? Because I like he is one of the great composers of our
Yeah.
generation, and because I guess was it the Sondheim and Weber in my mind pre-existed my love of theater. They were already established when I discovered theater, and
Right.
Lin came up. And I feel like Lin's more contemporary. He is more contemporary, but yeah, I feel my kids are gonna hopefully look at him the way that I look at Weber and
Absolutely.
Sondheim, right? And he and Sondheim were actually pretty close,
Very close. Yes.
which I think is very cool. And Sondheim gave him a lot of advice. But did you
Yeah.
have to get permission from Lin to do anything? You're just like, hey, dude, I'm gonna put your name on some shit and go
No,
sing it. He was like, yeah.
I know. I wrote him an email and I just said, look, I'm interested in putting this together and I have this idea. What do you think? And I sent it. We've been emailing a long time, he and I, from AOL to Gmail. And he was on my AOL chat, whatever that was, when it used to
AIM.
be there. Yes.
Yep.
Even when I go into AOL, like he's still there.
Would
It's
you
very
still have
interesting.
AOL?
I do. Like, I don't
Oh
have
my
rid of
god,
it.
you and my mom are the
I
only
never
two.
got rid of it, but I do use Gmail now. But it's I had to go about it and do it the right way because I respect him as an artist and I wanted to give him that, and that I wanted him to be a part of it and to really give his blessing for this piece. And he said, yeah. It says, okay, and then it was like the same thing with the squad. Okay, let's put it together. And I started to meet with directors and I met with Dick Scanlon and I felt like, I admired his work so much, but I felt like he understood what I wanted to do. And he asked me to create a playlist of all the songs that I was interested in singing. The playlist is really long. But he never said, like, we're taking this out. He just kind of said, okay, I just want to start listening. I want to start listening to the songs. And then we started to create the story. And then it was like, okay, it's time for music. And then I brought on Dan Lipton to do the music. But Lin was a part of this. Lin-Manuel was a part of this, this whole thing. And the wonderful thing that I see with this and with my wanting to open the door for others and things like that is that I see so many people coming to the symphony that maybe have never been before. And that brings me a lot of joy for them to see themselves in different spaces too. And sometimes they'll bring their whole family for, the holidays. And it's that kind of show. It's a show about friendship. It's a show about music. It's a show about struggle and survival. Because I weave my stories in as well. And how our stories connect throughout this journey of life.
Mhm.
So it's really beautiful on so many
Cool.
levels.
Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back after this break. Welcome back to the episode. Why did you decide to be so vocal about your breast cancer journey?
I felt like, well, I mean, this is a long story, but I had my tia passed away from cancer when I was in the Heights, and she was my closest aunt on my dad's side. She was the youngest in the family, his youngest sibling, and nobody really talked about it. People, they talked about the fact that she passed away, and it was very, very sad. But nobody talked about, well, what kind was it? What, how long did she feel discomfort? Did she go in for mammograms? Did those kind of things happen? And when I went into Memorial Sloan Kettering to start the process, I had to get a lot of genetic work done. And they ask you a lot of questions about your family. And I remember filling out the side of my mom, which I knew a lot of information. I knew some information, like who had what and this and that. But on my father's side, it was like no information.
Huh.
Because of so many different reasons that I've learned that there is a lack of trust within the Latino community with doctors because of how they've been treated, because of language barriers, because of lack of health care, lack of health insurance, and so I wanted to know. I wanted to make sure that whoever comes after me, like my daughter and people in my family, that they know if this is something that is in there, where it lies in our family. And it also made me feel like if I don't know this, um, I'm sure there's so many people out there that will look at me and say, oh my gosh, like that happened to Mandy Gonzalez. I should go get a mammogram.
Yeah.
I haven't had one yet. I'm Latina. Has my mother had one? Has my my abuelita? Like, what is my it's kind of like doing your own genetic testing, for your family, because a lot of times as well, like as Latinas, we're such matriarchs. As mothers, we
Yeah.
take care of everybody.
But who takes care of
And
you?
exactly. And you have to kind of realize that taking care of yourself is also taking care of everybody else. And I wanted to be fearless with this, with that diagnosis. And so I was, and I stepped through my fear and I said, hey, this is what's happening with me. And I just put it out there. And then I started to become a part of so many different communities within the cancer community where I could help people. And that I had no idea how much that would be part of my healing and part of my journey
Hmm.
as a person, because I realized that my voice is used for so many things, and part of that is advocating for others that maybe don't have a voice or, are dealing with this and they can't talk about it, and that's okay too. Let me be the one to talk about it. Let me be the one to say, like, oh, there is a mammogram truck that's coming to your house, and this is the hospital that does it. And I started to learn about ways that you can help your community, and if you don't have health insurance. And so it makes me very proud that now I am a part of that community, and I'm proud to say that I am 7 years cancer free.
Congratulations.
But everything happens for a reason, and it just propels you into who you're supposed to be.
Did I remember this right? You were in Hamilton when you're going through
Yes.
chemo?
Yes, I was.
Oh,
Yes. But it was that thing of for some reason, and I'm sure a lot of people will feel this when they're going through trauma, staying in the thing that feels safe, that the show must go on is something that I've known for a long, long time. It's a very like safe space for me. And I was with people that I could talk to. I could talk to Tommy Kail and say, hey, this is what's happening with me. And because with chemo, you have certain days where right afterwards where you feel like you feel good. You have your boost of your, everything that's going on. But then you have those days where you really struggle. And for me, that was like day 4, day 5. And so I would say, I can't do the show today. I can't do the matinee, but I'll be there in the evening. And there was
Yeah.
just something about that helped me get through it. And then when the pandemic happened, I started chemo in January of 2020, and the pandemic shut us down in March 11th.
Yeah.
And at that time, I was still in chemo and still had to go into the city when everybody was like, don't leave your house. It was like, well, it was the same thing. Like Broadway performers, there's a hurricane, don't leave your house, but Broadway's open. It was like, no, but you have to go. And I didn't know how much I needed to stop and just take care of myself and take
Yeah,
care of
there
my
you go
family.
again.
And it's that thing that the universe, God, whatever it is that you believe in, will find a way to make your journey happen where you don't expect it, and so, but it was that same thing of seeing everything shut down and nobody wanted to come to the theater. The same thing that I saw during 9/11. And when it started again, it was that same thing. Like, okay, we
Oh.
have, well, actually, no, it wasn't the same because everybody wanted to come. You had to get tested and you had to wear masks, and it was Hamilton. So, but it was really beautiful to see how resilient people can be, you know?
I remember hearing that costumes had to be let out because people hadn't been
Oh,
performing in
please.
months.
No. When I got the call that we were going back to the theater, I was like, I think I got a month ahead of time. I was running, because you can't go to a gym. But I was running around this neighborhood, like where I live. I was getting into shape. And when that dress zipped, I was like, I did it. But also building up your stamina after not just going through pandemic, but going through cancer treatment and things like that.
Yeah.
I was like, I have to do this. And I did it. I
And
walked
that's
through
got to
it.
give you such a boost too, that like now you can be fearless.
Yeah.
And like what comes at you, you're like, well, I already did those two things. Like this next thing's going to be easy. And then like you're Norma Desmond, nailed it. I saw you in Sunset
Oh,
Boulevard. Chef's kiss.
thank
like
you.
just incredible. That's
Thank
another
you.
iconic role too that you got to step into in one
Yeah.
of the best revivals I've ever seen.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, when I was offered that, I said yes. And I'm so glad that I did, because it really was it's a role of a lifetime. And it's a role that I saw when I was in middle school. I saw Glenn Close. Our middle school we saw Sunset Boulevard one year. The next year we saw Phantom of the Opera. It was like the best middle school ever. Like public school, like was working, but to be able to, and then I fell in love with Andrew Lloyd Webber's music, and then to be able to sing that on a Broadway stage and in that production was just incredible. And the show that I just finished, the run Basura, to work with Gloria and Emily Estefan and Michael Greif, who in 1996 when Rent won the Tony Awards, that was the first time I saw people that look like me on the stage. I saw Daphne Rubin Vega and I saw Adina, and I was like, oh my gosh, that's what I want to do. I want to be in Rent, and then to be able to work with him on a show, and then to work with Alex Lacamoire as well. And Patty Delgado, it was just a beautiful, beautiful experience. And I'm just so proud of the work we just did. I just finished last week. So, yeah, it's like you just keep going. It's like Chita Rivera says, you just keep going in this business, and whatever it is that you want, eventually you're going to get you're going to get there. And
I
I
love
truly believe that. Yeah. Her book is
All right.
amazing. The audiobook is even better.
Let's see. So I am going to put 60 seconds up on the clock for as we start to wind down. Let's see.
Okay.
60-second countdown. And we're going to play plot in 60 seconds.
Oh my gosh.
And
Give me
so
my glasses.
I have 17 musicals listed on my little document here. Give me a number 1 through 17. You will select from my list by what number you give me, and then give me the plot in 60 seconds or less.
I have to say the plot of the musical.
Yes. So give me a number 1 through 17.
5.
Okay, 5. These are popular. You should get this. All right. So give me the plot in 60 seconds or less to Mary Poppins. Go.
60 seconds
So Mary
remaining.
Poppins is young kids. They're kind of ignored by their parents, and they're so rude to like all of their nannies. And so this nanny flies in
45
from
seconds
who
remaining.
knows where to not only teach them about life, but to also provide them with love. And in turn, she kind of brings the whole family together because the parents realize that they've kind of been ignoring the kids too.
30 seconds remaining.
30 seconds. I love it. Okay, and a spoonful of sugar makes the medicine go down.
Go
or
down.
Something.
Yeah,
Right.
all of
Right.
it.
Okay. 3 standard closing questions. First one simply is just what motivates you.
Oof. What motivates me is my family. I think that to my motivation is to make sure that I can give my family the best life that they can have and be safe and happy. And that's my biggest motivation.
What advice would you give to your younger self and younger people listening now, starting out down a similar path?
I would say what my grandmother said to me: "You got this, babe. You got this, baby." And I hear her all the time. And sometimes you can go and you can, have so many people that say no. But as long as you have that voice in the back of your head of somebody that loves you telling you, no, you are special. You can do it. Never forget that voice is a lot stronger than that one.
Should be. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Last question. Hardest one. If you could only see one show for the rest of your life, but you can see it as many times as you want, what would you see?
That's so hard. If I could see one show for the rest of my life, that's so hard. I guess it would be Gypsy.
Have you ever done Gypsy?
I've never done Gypsy, but I will one day. Yeah,
There
absolutely.
you go. I was going to say, you would be a great Rose.
Thank you. One day it's coming. But that was my grandmother's, one of her favorite shows. And I used to listen to it all the time with her with Ethel Merman. And I got to see, I didn't see Patty, but I got to see Bernadette. I didn't get to see Audra, but I've heard amazing things. And I got to see her on the Tony Awards, which was like, whoa, blew my mind.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
All right. Where can we connect with you online and get the tour schedule for your concert?
So you can go to mandygonzalez.com, or you can check me out on Instagram at Mandy Gonzalez. You can also follow me on TikTok. I'm getting a little bit better at that because of my 14-year-old daughter. She's helping me. But that's at Mandy Gonzalez.
Sweet. I'm on I'm on Threads, Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, theater_podcast. Really, I can't speak. It's been a long day. I'm out there. Leave a rating, leave a review. Thanks to Jukebox the Ghost for the music you're hearing now. Mandy, thank you so much. This has been
so much.
Amazing.
It was so wonderful. Thank you so much for making this happen. And I just adore you. Thank you.
This is mutual. Very mutual.
Have a great time with your family.
Take a deep breath, make the world a little colorful.